accused of erasing people's comments and things that they're posting under our comment section.
No, Rich, you are erasing comments. Somebody is erasing comments over there because I posted the comment, right? And the video shows that the comment was actually posted, and then I go back and it's gone. And there's other people that said that too. So if and the comment that I posted, it was not against YouTube. It wasn't rude or anything. I never leave a rude comment on your stuff. So and it's a common thing. You know, the comments get deleted. So I mean, just, you know, I saw Bonnie leave a comment that somebody was saying something about my channel, and she said, "I don't even watch him. I won't give him a view." And I've been coming to your channel forever. Bonnie's never said anything rude to me. But somewhere else, that's kind of rude.
I made it very clear that I was not doing that. I know Bonnie's not doing that.
You don't know what Bonnie's doing when you're not around.
However, it's been brought to my attention.
It's not been brought to your attention, Rich. I've shown you in a video that I put a comment there, and it's gone. And there's other people that complain about their comments too.
That if some comments are put on there that are improper or they're nasty, YouTube will erase them.
Yeah, and if YouTube erases them, they'll send you a thing saying that you violated the community guidelines.
The only ones that have access to being able to do that is myself and Bonnie. Bonnie's pretty much in charge of that. But Bonnie don't even normally read any of the comments. That's kind of something that I do because she don't like confrontation and she doesn't want to deal with it. I can tell you I have never erased one comment on...
I believe that Rich hasn't erased any comments.
On all 59 episodes. So I'm not sure what has happened there. I can tell you we don't erase people's comments. If they're coming off there, evidently something's typing.
Well, I suggest that those people that continuously complain about comments being erased over there, if you have a way to record it, record your comment being posted, and then reset the page and go back and look. It's gone. The only the comments that I have removed are when I'm arguing with Tara. That's the only time I've ever seen one get removed. And look who's on the panel right now. Bonnie and Tara.
Somebody's typing something they probably shouldn't be typing.
Nope.
So I wanted to make that very clear.
Nope, because if you're typing something that you shouldn't be typing and YouTube removes it, they send you a thing, probably a strike. They send you a thing saying you violated the community guidelines. That's why it was removed. They tell you why it's removed. YouTube doesn't just remove comments and not tell you.
It's always important to hear and understand both sides of the guilty and innocent sides of the case.
No, it's not. No, it's not to you.
I personally believe that if you listen to both sides of the case...
You still haven't changed in the beginning of episode 58 where you let Tara lie. And then I listened more, and you compounded that lie. There was no medical examiner that said that Damon could have only lived a maximum of 9 minutes. That didn't happen. It's a lie, and you're letting it stand. And it's very disappointing to me that you would let a lie stand. You're still letting it stand. That whole episode needs to be fixed or something, but you're going to let that lie stand. And actually, if you read on further down in that testimony about Parchman, the time would really start when Damon collapsed. You let that lie stand, Rich. It's disappointing.
Thoroughly and do your own investigation on the case rather than listening to just documentaries or things that people have to say.
That's what you guys come up with. You read a documentary, you see something in a book, and that's what you come up with. That's what you say. You speculate.
It's not very hard to figure out how innocent Darling Lynn really is.
Yeah, it's not really hard to figure out, Rich, how guilty she is if you look at the facts.
So, Mystery Maverick, which she's with us today, she is continuing her documentary series on...
She's continuing to lie her ass off over there, and Rich praising her for lying. It's disappointing.
On the Darling case, she's done really a great job on it. It's one of the more better documentaries that are available on YouTube. No,
actually, the better documentary done on Darlie is Matt Orchard, Crime and Society. Tara doesn't know anything. She doesn't work in forensic. He keeps calling her an expert. She's nothing. She has nothing. Waddell was asleep in his cruiser. The medical examiner said on the stand that she can only live, and she's a fucking liar like the rest of them.
The case, and was there anything you wanted to add to that, Tara?
Yeah, so I did have my second part ready, but I was unhappy with it, and
You should be unhappy with all of it.
so I changed it.
So I changed it. I was asleep in my cruiser.
But yeah, it's not too far off completion, so hopefully I should be able to start recording like pretty soon, by like next week. So
Yeah, they're really awesome.
yeah, and just come and check it out.
They're awesome with all their lies. But, you can also listen to Rich say that he's watched every one of my videos, and they were awesome too.
Okay.
And I just want to add, everything that I say can be verified through documents.
Okay, where's the document that the medical examiner said that Damon could only live for 9 minutes, a maximum? Where's that document? Where's the document of Waddell asleep in his cruiser? See, because if you knew that, then that means that the police department would have known that, and they should have reprimanded him for that, right? But because it didn't happen.
By the documents in this case from darleyfacts.com or from books about the case.
Now, you once commented to me that I only get my information from books about the case. Books about the case are not written by experts. They're written by Don Davis, who fell in love with her. They're written by Barbara Davis, who lied, said that she didn't see the bruises, but she wrote about them and put one of them in her book. They're written by, those type of people. Christopher Wayne Brown, Media Tried, Justice Denied. That's another shitty book.
Which can all be brought on Amazon, or they can be downloaded on Kindle. And basically,
be sure to get Precious Angels. That's the best book written about Darley.
Apart from what the parts that are clearly my own opinion.
My own opinion. And Rich just said we don't go on opinions here. She just said, I'm going on my own opinion. Rich, see how they are?
Everything else is from documented facts, documentaries, books, transcripts. So, yeah.
Oh, the transcripts. But Danelle said you can't use the transcripts.
So, if any of you would like to verify any of my content, you can just go online.
Okay, I'm going to go online and look up Officer David Waddell asleep in his cruiser. I want to see where I can verify that at. I also, looking into transcripts, I read where they were talking about the timeline. They were talking about, they were talking about the timeline, but I don't see where any medical examiner said that she could live a maximum of 9 minutes. I see a lawyer suggest that to her, and I haven't even went through your videos yet. But yeah, there's 2 of them right there. I'd ask you for the documentation on that. Put that up in the video or have Rich show it, because you can't.
And you can find it. So I just wanted to make that point, because there's some people claiming, that I'm putting out misinformation.
You are putting out misinformation. You are. You got a picture of Waddell asleep in his cruiser? What medical examiner was that said that he could only live a maximum of 9 minutes? That's just 2 little pieces of misinformation that you put out.
But you can't really get misinformation from the actual court documents and
Sure you can. Because when the defense attorney was suggesting the time to Parchman, suggesting could have been 4 minutes, maybe. Could have been 5 minutes, maybe. Could have been 9 minutes, maybe more. But the answer to that was, you can't tell. And that's right in the trial transcripts. How long would it have taken David to die? The final answer from the medical examiner was, you can't tell. She did. I'll give you this. She did say minutes. Could have been minutes. Could it have been 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. 30, you don't know. You can't tell. And I challenge you to show where if you show me where a medical examiner said what you said in this extra episode, the medical examiner said that Damon could have only lived a maximum of 9 minutes. If you show that, I'll shut down my channels. I'll never speak on Darley again. If you show where Waddell was asleep in his cruiser, that's not a fact. If you could show that, I'll shut down my channel. I'll never speak on Darley again. Ever. Ever. Show it to me, Tara. You can get rid of me right now by just proving one of your facts. Just prove to me that the medical examiner said that he can only live another 9 minutes. I'll close my channel down. I'll never speak about Darley again. There's your challenge. You guys want to be rid of me? You guys want to be rid of me, Darley supporters? Well, Tara could do that right now. All she has to do is show me where that testimony is. Where the medical examiner said that. And I'll leave.
Transcripts.
Man, if you look across the bottom of the screen, I got it scrolling. That's where you can view her documentaries on YouTube. It is at Mystery Maverick. It's very easy to find. And Tara also covers some other different cases as well. And they're
Tara also fucks up other cases, he says.
really good. I really enjoyed them a lot. So, very...
Well, you would, Rich, because you was right in there compounding with her that the doctor said 9 minutes. The doctor did not say that. There is no timeline. There absolutely is no timeline, just like Barb Davis said.
Very informative. Now, like I said, sadly, Danelle was unable to come here today, and that's Darley Routier's youngest sister. She had something
No, Rich, that's her baby sister. Baby is appropriate.
to do with her family. She was unable to attend.
Did it involve silly string?
But she really wanted to be here, but she couldn't do it today. But she also has her own TikTok channel where she answers questions on the
She doesn't answer questions. She deflects from questions, and we've got all of them saved.
case and, make statements about the case and different various things. Some pretty good stuff on there. Go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, especially the part where if you can see her on Ken Mains right now, you can watch her say that Darley's DNA was found on the outside of the sock. That's very interesting, isn't it? And then when Pamela Collins messaged her and asked her why she said that Darley's DNA was on the outside of that sock, it's on the outside, she said. Right? Danelle's answer was, what does it matter? And I've got that put up too. That's what Danelle thinks about lying. What does it matter? When I asked Danelle why Darley and Darren left out of their initial statements that they had had a bit of an argument that night and that she asked him for a separation, you know what she told me? She told me they left it out because it was irrelevant. Carrots in the chicken noodle soup, that was relevant. But them having a big ass fight an hour or so before their kids come up dead, that's not irrelevant. That's not relevant.
1982. I highly recommend it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started here.
Now let's see what he has to say.
And the first one we're going to touch on is a comment from Mr. St.John. I promised Mr. St.John about several weeks ago that we would be touching on this because there was a lot of non-supporters really angry of the statements that Tara had made and that I had made about the 9-minute ordeal.
Actually, it's Tara, because Tara continues to lie, Rich. We don't catch you in lies, but I have yet. To be honest with you, I've went through your videos and watched them here and there, but I have yet to scrutinize them. I haven't.
So we're going to break it all down. We're going to take a look at it, and we're going to get the right information out there. Bonnie, if you could be so kind as to read for us, that would be wonderful.
No medical examiner stated that Damon had 9 minutes to live. In fact, Parchman, after being pressured for a clear time by Mulder, stated, "You can't tell." Could you please post here where the doctor said what Mystery Maverick claims she said?
Okay, and what Mr. St. John is referring to is on a previous.
What I'm referring to is on episode 58, where she said the medical examiner stated on the stand that Damon can only live a maximum of 9 minutes after being stabbed like that. Let's see what he says.
This episode, where me and Tara both said the same thing, that the maximum amount of time that Damon could have survived after receiving his wounds was 9 minutes. So let's take a look at it.
Yeah, well, what was said was the medical examiner stated that. That's what it was said.
All right, so we're going to look at the we're going to look at the testimony on this. It's a direct examination. Bonnie, if you could go ahead and read this. If me and Tara want you to stop somewhere, that would be awesome. If you could go ahead and start. And this is direct examination from the trial transcripts from the case. Please go ahead, Bonnie.
If only one of these stab wounds had occurred and then an interval of time had elapsed before stab wounds 2, 3, and 4 occurred, for instance, could this child have lived longer than the time period that you've already talked about? That's possible. Can you give us an estimate of how long this child might have lived if, say, stab wound 1 had been inflicted and then the other 3 were inflicted sometime later on? Answer, what we're talking about, a few to several more minutes. Question, okay, can you give us a ballpark figure of an outside time period there? Answer, a few to several more minutes. Yeah, question, okay. And how many minutes did you say that this child could have lived if all 4 of them had been produced at the same time? Answer, a few minutes.
Before we flip the page, there has been a lot of non-supporter claims that Damon was stabbed once, he was attacked once, and then attacked again a little bit later.
That's not only a non-supporter claim, that's also a law enforcement claim, Rich. We got that from law enforcement.
The timeline. But there's no evidence that that had transpired.
There actually is evidence that that had transpired. If you look at the where Damon was actually at when they found him, not where he crawled 25 feet away, you'll see Darley's blood spots around that area drop straight down. Tell me where the knife drop is in the carpet.
There's no evidence whatsoever that that has transpired. And if somebody has that evidence, please post it. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and there's no evidence of an intruder that came into Darley's house. And if somebody has that evidence, I'm interested and I'd like to see it.
I've never seen any evidence that proves that Damon had been attacked on 2 different occasions.
I've never seen any evidence that doesn't prove that Darley is the one that inflicted those.
When the attack occurred. Okay, Bonnie, go ahead and continue, please.
Cross-examination. Question, less than 5 minutes. Would that be fair to say? Answer, likely. Question, likely. All right. Answer. And that from the time he collapsed until he actually expired would probably be another few minutes? Question. Okay, so from the time that he received all of these injuries, he could have lasted as little as 2 or 3 minutes, or as much as maybe 5 or 6 minutes, something like that? Answer, yes.
Okay. All right, so
you see the defense suggesting times of how it could be, right? It's the defense that's suggesting the minutes. Now, the parchment does say minutes. I'm going to see what they got to say here.
Tara, I know this comment was pretty much directed toward you. Did you want to give your thoughts and opinions on the testimony on it and to what our statements were that were made?
Sure.
Okay.
So, pretty much, like, it's general common, like, knowledge or common sense to you know, a few minutes to most people is like a few minutes, probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead and backtrack.
Like that's general. That's a general. Or if she's saying a few minutes, some people might interpret
Go on,
that as
backtrack.
a couple of minutes. You know, like as like say 2 or 3 minutes.
Go on, backtrack.
So if you add that to several minutes, and she's only added several minutes on because of the prosecution's statement that
Is 12 minutes several minutes? Anybody? Is 12 minutes several minutes? Yes, it is.
it was that Damon was stabbed twice, or could have been, and she actually says, "I can't tell if he was stabbed." She couldn't tell. There was no way from.
She wasn't saying you can't tell to the stab wound. She was saying you can't tell to the time. I've already got this video done, Tara.
From the autopsy to tell, and which I've shown in my video. There's no way for the autopsy to tell, but the crime scene doesn't indicate that he was stabbed twice in those 2 locations.
The crime scene doesn't indicate that there was an intruder in there either.
So, but my interpretation of it is that, you know, 5 minutes plus a few minutes, you know, stretch it out, 9 minutes. You know, it's just basic sort of like common knowledge.
Okay, your basic common sense. Now you're saying, well, this is what I figured out. I based it on this, this, and this. But what you said was, the medical examiner said that he could not have lived any more than 9 minutes. Now you're backtracking. Several minutes could be 10 or 12 minutes. That's several minutes. Anything above 15 could be several minutes.
You know, basic mathematics, like if you add a few minutes.
5 plus what equals 9? It's the what you're missing. This isn't fucking algebra. This is me checking you on something you said. You didn't get on there and say, well, basically, you take 2 minutes and 3 minutes and you mix them up around here and you run over there and you put something in here and you make up a lie about a sock. That's not what you said. You're backtracking right now, and I fucking love it.
To 5 minutes, you'll probably get around 8 or 9 minutes.
8 or 9, maybe. Maybe. That's what you'll get. But what did you say?
And also, we've got to take into account the fact that Damon did die. He died at the scene. We know from, I think it was...
He died in the ambulance. And the ambulance wasn't at the scene.
Bryan Koshak, that said, after he was in the house for 2 minutes, and that was 4 minutes before, because you've got to remember, Wallin cleared the scene as well, so that would have taken another 1 to 2 minutes for him to actually go in there.
Yeah, but you keep coming up with all these Waddell did, but you're not addressing what you said, because you can't.
Went in there with Waddell, checked the garage.
See, people listening to you for the first time, they'd hear you say the medical examiner said he could live no longer than 9 minutes. That's what they're going to think happened in court, and that did not happen in court.
Had to come out and clear the scene before the EMTs could go in, and they said that was around 2 minutes. So they were waiting outside for 2 minutes.
Right.
Then they came in, and the EMT said after working on Damon for 2 minutes, he saw the light go out in his eyes.
So that means after the paramedics were already there, right? According to you. Koshak also said, but you don't want to go into this, that he wouldn't even look at his mother. He didn't want nothing to do with his mother, but let's go ahead and say that.
And Damon, according to Dr. Santos, who worked on Damon when he received him at the hospital, he said that Damon was already dead. He was dead. He was dead on arrival. He was dead before he got there. Do you see what I mean? He tried to work on him, but it was no use.
He died in the ambulance.
So I believe Damon that is the proof. Damon did die at the scene. Do you see what I mean?
No, Damon did not die at the scene. He died in the ambulance.
And so
Would you shut up? Dog.
we've got to say, it is like logically it's around that time. And as I said in my video, even if you add another few minutes on, let's add another couple of minutes onto it, you've still got to take into account Walling clearing the scene, the EMTs working on
Yeah, but you're going into all these damn reasons, but you're not addressing what you said. Now you're backtracking. I've got you backtracking.
him for 2 minutes. Do you see what I mean? So there's still no time. She couldn't have done any of this after the night, after making the 911.
Why not?
On one call, and Damon did die after the 911 call, probably about 4 minutes after the 911 call,
We don't know what time he died. He was in the ambulance when he passed.
which was 5 minutes and something long. So realistically, even if you give them 12 minutes, for instance, it's still not enough time for Darlie to have done all these things.
That she did before she did the stabbing?
Right.
And not taking into account that she didn't leave any blood where the sock was.
So I think in the final analysis, I think
The final analysis is, Rich, that she said something that was a fucking lie, and she's trying to backtrack and clean it up right now. That's what the final analysis is. The medical examiner said that Damon could have only lived 9 minutes, a maximum of 9 minutes. That's what she said. She still hasn't said, you know what, that's not right. That's not what the medical examiner said. So, again, you're going to leave that lie there.
it would be fair to say that the medical examiner didn't directly say 9 minutes or less.
Nor did they say a maximum. They said you can't tell. She threw that word maximum in there, and it just sticks out at you the way she says it. She says it like this. The medical examiner said that Damon could live no longer than a maximum of 9 minutes.
They pretty much said it's hard to say, hard to know.
Yeah, it pretty much said, just like I said in the very beginning when I called her out on this, the medical examiner did not say this. The medical examiner said you cannot tell. Thank you for clarifying. Even though you beat it around the bush and you'll let her up there and lie again about something else, but she still has not addressed what she actually said.
However, if you do basic arithmetic,
It doesn't say, Tara doesn't say, the medical examiner said if you do basic arithmetic and add this and that and Walling over here and this one over there, then no, that's not what was said. You can add all the basic arithmetic you want. That's not what was said. And that is my point.
look at what's what. That's where we come up with the 9 minutes.
Oh, so the 9 minutes didn't come from the medical examiner who stated it on the stand like Tara said? So you're saying that it didn't. Now, it didn't come from Tara. But are you going to hold her as a fucking expert now? Look at her backtrack. I know you're disappointed. She should have just been able to say, well, the parchment did say that, and it's right here. If you're so sure about her being innocent. That's how we do it.
Right.
So
I came up with the 9 minutes because between
You came up with the 9 minutes. Let's go back and take a look with her.
Saturation point where blood is running down.
on the timeline, in order for that to transpire
Could have pre-staged.
to every murder. All right, so what we're going to do today, folks, is we are going to go back and, we're going to go ahead and do questions and answers. For people that have questions and answers today, we're going to do it live. We're going to do it for about an hour. And so if anybody has any questions on the case, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to chat with you. Again, just keep things respectful. And we're ready when you're ready. So anybody who has a question, go ahead and put it up on the screen, and we'll go ahead and answer it. And if you want to address the question to any of us personally, you could do that between me, Tara, and Annie. You can ask us a one-on-one question, if you will, if that's what you want to do, or you can ask the whole group, whatever suits you. Now, Mr. Wood's got a real good question, and it's funny that he just asked this question, because on Tara's new documentary series she's doing on the case, she describes the timeline to the tick, because there is a timeline. Many non-supporters will tell you there's no timeline. There is a timeline. There's a timeline to every murder. And so Mr. Wood is asking about the timeline. Who would like to start on that question that he's asking?
Okay, James.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So basically, the timeline needs to start from. So Darlie was on the telephone to 911 for over 5 minutes. The police were there in 3 minutes. Well, not all the police, but Officer Waddle was there within 3 minutes. And also the paramedics were outside still, and they lasted 2 minutes. So the timeline starts because the medical examiner said that Damon could not have lasted for any longer than a maximum of 9 minutes, all the police, but Officer Waddle was there within 3 minutes. And also the paramedics were outside still, and they lasted 2 minutes. So the timeline starts because the medical examiner said that Damon could not off of that. So the paramedics were outside still, and they lasted 2 minutes. So the timeline starts because the medical examiner said that Damon could not have lasted for any longer than a maximum of 9 minutes, an upper limit of 9 minutes. They lasted 2 minutes. So the timeline starts because the medical examiner said that Damon could not have lasted for any longer than a maximum of 9 minutes. They lasted 2 minutes. So the timeline starts because the medical examiner said that Damon could not have lasted for any longer than a maximum of 9 minutes.
They say 9 minutes or less. They pretty much said it's hard to say,
Right.
It's hard to know. However, if you do basic arithmetic and you look at what's what, that's where we come up with the 9.
She's a liar. Now I want to address something else. Yeah, but, well, you know, when you tell people you know with 100% certainty, we don't know 100% certainty nothing. Okay, but I want to deal with Bathsheba. I think Danelle has skipped the podcast because she is tired of being abused by Mr. St. John. I'm not abusing her. She abuses us. Do you listen to the way she talks about people? I don't believe it's an aggravation to call it abuse. No, it's my opinion. It is an exaggeration. When I'm sitting here waiting for back surgery. I haven't been able to work for the last year or so, and this is one of my passions. And on Maze's channel, she makes a hit on people wanting to live off the government because their back hurts. Do you watch everything? Have you not seen? You want to see Danelle abusing Danelle? Look up that 2-hour conversation that I had with her while she abused me all the way through it. Tara can usually give it back, but even in this video, I just proved her to be the fucking idiot she is. See, look. See? Somebody's been... How do you know how strong Darlie was? Wow, Rich, you're getting a little snappy with someone, right? Wow. A little snappy there with the female supporter, huh, Rich? I guess you're a bully. And you're a bully, Rich, and you're doing everything in your power to harass Dawnster. And she should reach the police about you and call the FBI. She should do all that because you did this. You did this. So you're a bully and you hate women and you're ignorant and let me see what else. You're harassing Dawnster. Because you're just a terrible person for having your fucking opinion, Rich. But no, you let that lie stand, and I got to watch her backtrack.